this life you're living? It's not the only one. It's just the one you've been conditioned to expect. From the moment you could form a thought, you were taught to see the world through a lens of limitation. What's realistic, what's possible, what's normal. But here's the truth most people will never hear. Reality is not fixed, it's fluid. And the version you're experiencing right now, it's just one of infinite options. You weren't born to live inside a loop of recycled choices. You weren't meant to wake up every day just to repeat yesterday. But the mind, if left unquestioned, will pull you into that loop without you even realizing it. That's not fate, it's programming. The rules you follow, the dreams you suppress, the doubts you carry, they're not yours. They were installed. But once you become conscious of the pattern, everything changes. Because in a quantum universe, the moment you shift your frequency, reality has no choice but to follow. Most people don't stay stuck because they're weak. They stay stuck because they're loyal to patterns, identities, and emotions that feel familiar. That's the real trap. Familiarity doesn't mean safety, it means repetition. And the human brain, it's wired to love repetition. The same thoughts, the same choices, the same emotional patterns, day after day, year after year, until one day you confuse routine with reality and forget that life could be anything else. You were never taught to question the loop. You were taught to survive it. You were handed an identity, name, culture, background, personality, and told, this is who you are. But who benefits when your entire world is shaped by stories you didn't choose? Your brain was never meant to be a cage. It was meant to be a signal receiver, a tuner. But instead, it's been locked on the same frequency for so long, most people forget there's even a dial. The truth is, your life is not the result of your desires. It's the result of your conditioning. From a young age, you were programmed to crave comfort and avoid uncertainty. You were rewarded for fitting in, not standing out, for following the script, not rewriting it. So you learned to stay inside the boundaries. But no one told you those boundaries were invisible. No one told you the life you're living might not even be yours. It might just be the easiest one for your mind to replicate every day. Every habit you've built, every emotional reaction you default to, every belief you hold, it's all part of the loop. And it's not just behavioral, it's neurological. When a thought is repeated often enough, your brain builds stronger neural pathways to support it. Eventually, the thought becomes automatic, and automatic becomes identity. This is why you can feel trapped even when nothing is physically holding you back. The walls aren't outside you, they're inside, and they're built from familiarity. Here's the part most people never realize. Identity isn't static. It's not something you're born with. It's something you practice. Who you are is just the story your brain tells most often. So if you want to shift your life, you don't need to wish harder or work more. You need to disrupt the story, because nothing changes until the frequency does. The version of you who feels empowered, fulfilled, and free, that version already exists. But your current frequency won't let you access them. Not yet. And this is where most systems of control thrive. They don't need to chain your body if they've already hijacked your thoughts. They don't need to limit your options if they've trained you to never question what's available. The system doesn't fear your potential, it fears your awareness, because awareness is what cracks the code. It's what allows you to step outside the familiar and choose a different signal entirely. And if you're still with me, you're already starting to tune in. You're beginning to see that reality isn't something you inherit, it's something you generate. But here's the truth that can't be fully shared on YouTube. Some knowledge is too disruptive for public platforms. That's why we created Insights Academy, our free newsletter, where we share the hidden frameworks the system doesn't want you to learn. Sign up at the link in the description and, for a limited time, receive a free digital copy of the Kybalion. No fluff, just ancient wisdom reawakened. Back to it, because the shift begins when you understand this. You're not stuck because you're incapable. You're stuck because your mind has mistaken familiarity for truth. But once you start catching the loop, when you become the observer instead of the participant, you take back the dial. You stop asking, how do I escape this life? And start asking, what version of reality am I tuning into? That question alone can collapse the entire pattern. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you are. Everything you've been taught tells you reality is solid, fixed, something out there that you simply react to. But it isn't. That chair you're sitting on, the air you're breathing, the screen you're looking at, they're all made of atoms. And those atoms, they're 99.999% empty space, held together by frequency. At the quantum level, the universe isn't matter, it's energy in flux. It's probability, wave patterns, potential waiting to collapse into form. And what causes that collapse? Observation, focus, conscious awareness. In other words, you. This isn't philosophy, it's physics. The double-slit experiment shattered the lie of an objective, passive universe. When scientists tried to observe electrons passing through two slits, the particles changed their behavior based on whether they were being watched. Let that sink in. Matter behaves differently when observed. Meaning, the universe is responsive. It doesn't simply unfold, it interacts. It listens, and it listens to you. Your consciousness is not a side effect of your biology. It's a participant in reality creation. Every thought, every feeling, every expectation sends out a signal. That signal doesn't just float in your mind, it interacts with the field around you. Like a transmitter and receiver rolled into one, your brain is constantly broadcasting its internal state and receiving feedback in the form of your life experience. That's why people stuck in cycles of fear or scarcity seem to always encounter more of it. It's not bad luck. It's resonance. This is what they don't teach in schools or mainstream science. The field is neutral. It doesn't care if you're empowered or defeated, aligned or fragmented. It just mirrors the signal you send. The law is simple. What you observe with emotion and repetition collapses into your lived experience. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are in frequency. If you think you're broken, you'll live inside experiences that confirm that belief. Not because life is cruel, but because it's obedient. And most people, without knowing, are locked into a feedback loop. They think their reality is making them feel a certain way, but it's the reverse. Their internal state is generating the signal, and the universe is echoing it back. So if your life looks like a pattern you can't break, it's because you haven't changed the channel. The signal hasn't shifted. But here's where it gets powerful. You don't need to wait for permission to shift your signal. You don't need evidence before belief. You need belief before evidence. When you start feeling like the person who already lives the life you want, when you think like them, speak like them, move like them, you shift the frequency. And when you shift the frequency, the quantum field responds. The version of your life that feels distant, almost impossible, already exists. It's not a fantasy. It's a frequency. It's a track in the field, just like the one you're on now. And just like tuning into a different station on a radio, you can access it the moment your signal aligns. But you won't find this by waiting for life to prove it's possible. You'll only find it by daring to act from it, to live as if the shift has already happened. That's not delusion. That's resonance. Because quantum reality doesn't reward those who believe after the fact. It bends to those who understand that observation comes first. You are the observer, and the observer is the architect. So what are you building? Your life is not just shaped by your actions, it's shaped by the frequency behind them. And frequency isn't something you just stumble into. It's something you broadcast every second, whether you realize it or not. The world doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are being. You can't fake frequency. You can't speak abundance while vibrating scarcity. You can't beg for freedom while living in fear. The universe doesn't hear your words. It hears your vibration. Tesla said it best. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Neville Goddard took it further. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Carl Jung, too, pointed out that what remains unconscious will show up in your life and you'll call it fate. These weren't just poetic thinkers. They were decoding reality, because what you identify with, you create. And identity is frequency in human form. Most people try to change their life by force. They push harder, hustle more, chase goals. hoping they'll finally feel like they've made it. But all they're doing is dragging their old frequency into a new setting. Nothing changes. Why? Because your external reality is a mirror. You can't change the reflection by yelling at the glass. You change it by changing the source, and that source is you. Let this sink in. The version of you that already has what you want, the confidence, the love, the wealth, the peace, they are not somewhere far away. They're already inside you, but they live on a different frequency. And until you embody that frequency, you'll keep walking in circles, trying to reach a reality that can't hear your current signal. So how do you shift it? Not by thinking your way there, but by feeling your way there. Emotion is the language of the quantum field. Thoughts are electrical. They send out the signal. Emotions are magnetic. They pull the experience in. When your thoughts and emotions align, that's when reality begins to bend. But you can't do it once and expect results. The quantum field doesn't respond to moments. It responds to patterns. You must become the frequency, consistently. That means walking like the person who's already free, speaking like the version of you who trusts life, thinking like the one who knows their worth isn't up for negotiation. Not because you're pretending, but because you're remembering. You're collapsing the idea that it's in the future and pulling it into now. Here's the part most people miss. You don't shift by wishing. You shift by becoming. Want to change your finances? Start thinking and acting like someone who already owns their value. Want to change your relationships? Show up like someone who no longer tolerates self-abandonment. Want to heal? Then live like someone who already trusts their body's intelligence. These aren't fake it till you make it games. They're frequency alignments, and the field responds every time. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. You will fall back into old patterns. You will feel the pull of the familiar, but that's part of the shift. Every time you override the old signal, every time you choose the new frequency over the old story, you're reprogramming your field. You're proving to life that you're no longer a match for what you used to settle for. Because in the end, reality isn't waiting for you to earn it. It's waiting for you to match it. You're not here to hustle your way into your dream life. You're here to align with it. The question is, are you ready to become the version of you who already lives there? The biggest lie you've ever been told is that your life changes from the outside in. That if you just work harder, earn more, get the right body, meet the right person, then everything will fall into place. But the truth is harsher and far more liberating. Nothing changes out there until something shifts in here. Reality bends, not to your effort, but to your embodiment. You don't manifest by force. You shift by becoming. Think of it like this. Every version of you that could ever exist already does. There's a version of you stuck in the loop, repeating the same story day after day. But there's also a version of you who's already free, who speaks differently, feels differently, decides differently. The only thing separating you from that version isn't time. It's identity. That version isn't in your future. It's in your frequency. Most people get stuck because they try to change their life without changing who they are. They want new outcomes, but they're still operating from the old operating system. Same thoughts, same emotions, same choices. And so the loop continues. But here's the truth. You can't escape a loop you still feel safe inside. The shift isn't just about desire. It's about surrendering who you've been trained to be, so you can step into who you really are. You're not manifesting a new life. You're remembering an old one, the one buried beneath years of programming. That's why the process feels so strange at first, because you're not just changing behaviors. You're grieving identities. You're releasing the part of you that found safety in struggle, familiarity in pain, identity in limitation. And that's not easy, but it's necessary, because the fastest way to change your outer world is to update the identity you're living from. And that doesn't mean faking it. It means aligning your behavior, thoughts, and emotions with the version of you that already has what you're chasing. It means walking differently, not because you're pretending, but because you're choosing a new frequency. When you speak as if it's already yours, when you act as if you already believe it, you collapse time. You bend probability in your favor, and the field has no choice but to respond. Your job isn't to figure out how it will happen. Your job is to embody the one who already knows it's done. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. You stop waiting for evidence, and you become the evidence. The emotions come first, the reality follows. And if you're thinking, but what if it doesn't work? That's the old identity talking. That's the version of you who was taught to doubt themselves, to play small, to need proof before belief. But in the quantum world, belief comes first. The observer collapses the wave. The expectation creates the outcome. This isn't magic. This is mechanics. Now back to the shift. Every time you choose to respond differently, to a trigger, to a doubt, to an old narrative, you're signaling to the quantum field that you're no longer available for your former reality. That's the real work. Not affirmations on your mirror, not vision boards, but inner recalibration. Becoming a vibrational mismatch to everything that no longer serves you. That's when timelines collapse. That's when you wake up one day and realize you're not living the same life anymore, because you're not the same you. This process isn't about becoming someone new. It's about shedding who you're not. And what's revealed in that shedding? The real you. The one who never needed to hustle for worthiness. The one who already knew the path was within. That's who does the shifting. And that's who reality listens to. There's something nobody tells you when you start waking up. The process of transformation doesn't always feel like a breakthrough. More often than not, it feels like falling apart. Why? Because to become the person who lives a new reality, you first have to dismantle the one that kept you where you were. That means shedding identities, dissolving attachments, and walking away from stories that once made you feel safe, even if they were silently suffocating you. This isn't self-help. It's system override. You're not here to slap affirmations over your fears or repeat mantras while your nervous system trembles. You're here to get underneath it all, to meet the core programming running your reality. Because unless you address the root, the leaves just grow back in the same shape. And the root is always the identity you were taught to embody before you even had a say. Let's get real. From a young age, you were taught who to be. Through repetition, through approval, through punishment. That programming lives in your subconscious like invisible code. It whispers, don't speak up, they'll judge you. Or, stay safe, don't take the risk. And over time, those whispers shape your perception, your decisions, your outcomes. You're not failing because you're lazy. You're repeating an inherited identity that was never yours to begin with. So how do you break free? It starts with one core act. Refusing to keep observing the same story. Every time you tell yourself this is just how life is, you're collapsing the same timeline over and over again. But when you stop rehearsing the story of lack, of fear, of powerlessness, when you stop feeding it your focus, you starve it of energy. That's how you collapse timelines. Not with willpower, but with refusal. You stop being the observer of the old and start being the creator of the new. Emotional resonance is your gateway. If you want to collapse the old loops, you have to feel your way out of them. Emotions are data, their frequency in motion, and most of the time we suppress them, label them as weakness, or avoid them altogether. But here's the twist. The emotion you avoid is often the exact doorway to your liberation. That anxiety you keep pushing down, it's pointing to a false identity you've outgrown. That sadness, it's mourning a self you're finally letting go of. Don't bypass it. Learn from it. This work isn't linear. One day you'll feel like you're leveling up. The next like you're back where you started. That's not failure. That's recalibration. It takes time to override a lifetime of programming. But every small moment of awareness counts. Every time you pause and ask, is this thought really mine? You interrupt the code. Every time you choose response over reaction, you update the system. And here's where it gets wild. The shift doesn't require massive action. It requires micro-alignment. A single choice made from a higher frequency holds more power than 100 made in fear. You don't need to burn your life down to transform it. You need to become incompatible with what drains you. You don't force the shift. You become the environment where the shift happens naturally. This is how you build your blueprint. Not from hustle, but from clarity. You start reprogramming your perception, catching the unconscious thoughts before they become behaviors. You start feeling what it would be like to live as your higher self, not as a fantasy, but as a rehearsal for reality. And slowly, the world around you begins to shape itself to match what you've become. This is the real work. It's quiet, it's internal, and most people miss it because it doesn't look dramatic from the outside. But it is the most radical rebellion there is, refusing to be who the world told you to be, and choosing to become who you were always meant to be, not someday, now. Long before quantum physics had a name, ancient civilizations spoke of the same truths modern science is only now beginning to validate. The idea that the external world mirrors the internal one wasn't born in a laboratory. It was whispered through hermetic texts, carved into sacred geometry, encoded in ancient spiritual traditions that understood something profound. Reality isn't solid, it's symbolic. And once you learn to read the symbols, you stop reacting and start creating. Take Hermeticism, for example. Its foundational axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without, isn't just poetic, it's literal. Your outer world is a projection of your inner frequency. The Egyptians, Greeks, Hindus, Mayans, they all knew this. They weren't primitive, they were precise. They worked with energy, vibration, intention. They built temples aligned with star constellations, practiced rituals that activated altered states, and understood that consciousness wasn't just something that happened inside the mind, it was the very fabric of the universe. Now fast forward to modern science. Quantum physics tells us that particles don't have a defined state until they're observed. Until consciousness interacts with the field, everything exists in a state of potential. That's not spiritual fluff. That's the double-slit experiment. When a particle is unobserved, it behaves like a wave, infinite possibilities. But the moment it's observed, it collapses into a single outcome. Sound familiar? It's the same principle the ancients taught through myth, metaphor, and mysticism. But we're just now catching up. Neuroscience backs it too. Brain scans reveal that we fire the same neural pathways when we vividly imagine something as when we physically experience it. That means the brain doesn't know the difference between reality and powerful belief. That's not a bug. That's the point. Your mind is a projector, and your reality is the screen. The stronger the belief, the clearer the image. The more emotionally charged the thought, the more potent the signal you send to the quantum field. And it doesn't stop there. The placebo effect, long dismissed as a nuisance in clinical trials, is actually a window into how belief changes biology. People given sugar pills recover from illness, not because of the pill, but because of the perception of healing. The body responds not to chemical substances alone, but to expectation, to consciousness. You're not just living in a body, you're commanding it with every thought and belief you hold. The mystics knew this. That's why they didn't separate science from spirit or matter from mind. They understood that reality is a dance between form and frequency. That when you raise your vibration through breath, sound, movement, presence, you change what shows up in your world. The yogis used mantras to recalibrate thought. The shamans used trance to shift perception. The alchemists used symbols to rewrite belief systems. These weren't rituals of superstition. They were technologies of transformation. Today we have EEGs, MRIs, and quantum computers, but the essence remains unchanged. The mind shapes the field, the body broadcasts the signal, and the heart, the most powerful electromagnetic organ, amplifies it all. You are a transmitter. You are a receiver. You are the architect of your experience. So the next time someone tells you quantum shifting is pseudoscience, ask them what's more absurd, believing reality is shaped by consciousness, or believing it's entirely random. Because the evidence is everywhere, and those who dare to look, those who tune out the noise and start listening inward, begin to see a new kind of logic emerge. One that connects the wisdom of the ancients with the data of the modern age. This isn't about abandoning science, it's about expanding it. It's about recognizing that truth doesn't belong to a single discipline. It's scattered across cultures, centuries, and dimensions. You're not here to choose between mysticism and science. You're here to integrate both, to realize that everything you've ever needed to shift your reality has already existed, hidden in plain sight. Most people live their entire lives inside a reality that isn't theirs. Not because they're weak, and not because they're broken, but because they've never been told that the walls around them were built from ideas, not facts. You grow up thinking this is just the way things are, that life is hard, that success is scarce, that love is earned, and that happiness is a distant reward for following the rules. But what if none of that is true? What if everything you believe about the limits of your life is just a program? And what if that program can be rewritten? Awakening doesn't begin with learning new information. It begins with unlearning the lies. It begins when you question the thoughts you've repeated so many times they've started to feel like truth. It begins when you ask yourself, who was I before the world told me who to be? That moment, when you feel the stir, the friction between who you are and who you were conditioned to be, that's the beginning of the shift. See, the system doesn't want you to wake up. It wants you focused on appearances, lost in endless distractions, hypnotized by content that keeps you scrolling but never evolving. It wants you emotionally reactive, because reactive people don't change their reality, they repeat it. It wants you clinging to the familiar, even when the familiar is slowly suffocating your spirit. Because when you stay loyal to the version of yourself they programmed, you remain predictable, controllable, profitable. But the moment you pause, truly pause, and begin to observe your thoughts, instead of being dragged by them, the game changes. Awareness cracks the illusion. You start to realize that the voice in your head isn't always your own. It's your teacher's voice, your parents' fears, society's expectations, trauma responses, and old scripts looping in your subconscious. And once you can see that voice for what it is, a collection of echoes, you're no longer ruled by it. The truth is, most people aren't choosing their life. They're choosing their programming. They're waking up every day and unconsciously reenacting beliefs they never chose, habits they never questioned, and fears that were never truly theirs. That's not living, that's sleepwalking. And awakening isn't a one-time moment of clarity. It's a daily choice to rise above the noise and remember who you really are beneath the scripts. You're not here to chase a better version of yourself. You're here to remember you've always been enough. The shifts don't happen when you add more, but when you peel away everything that isn't aligned. Your power isn't in becoming someone new. It's in shedding who you were never meant to be. That's when the quantum field responds. Not when you strive, but when you align. When you stop asking life to give you what you want, and start showing up as if you already have it. And yes, the awakening can be uncomfortable. It will ask you to leave behind the identity that kept you safe. It will challenge your friendships, your beliefs, your job, maybe even your definition of success. But discomfort is not punishment. It's the doorway. Every old identity you shed creates space for a new reality to emerge. Your job is not to control that process, but to trust it. The moment you stop believing that things will only change when the outside changes, and start living from the inside out, you become untouchable. Circumstances no longer dictate your state. You dictate your frequency, and your frequency dictates your experience. You stop waiting and start creating. That's the shift. That's the quantum leap. And the best part, no one can do it for you, but no one can stop you either. The system thrives when you stay isolated, distracted, and doubting your own mind. It's no coincidence that from an early age, you were taught to value approval over intuition, repetition over questioning, and competition over connection. Because the most dangerous thing to any control system isn't rebellion, it's unity. It's people thinking clearly, feeling deeply, and connecting authentically. When those three align, the illusion collapses. And that's why the world you are handed is designed to suppress them all. Critical thinking isn't just a skill, it's a threat to the status quo. The moment you start asking real questions, the kind that peel back layers and dig into uncomfortable truths, you begin to disrupt the programming. You realize that much of what you were told isn't fact, it's narrative. Not truth, but convenience. Most systems aren't built to empower you, they're built to preserve themselves. And if you're not asking why, then you're already playing along. But awakening doesn't have to be a solitary journey. In fact, it shouldn't be. The lie is that you're alone in your questioning, that no one else sees the cracks. But the truth is, more people than ever are sensing the same dissonance, feeling the same call. You're not weird. You're not broken. You're part of a rising current, a collective shift that's beginning to surface in millions of minds across the world. When we connect, when we speak openly, share knowledge, and build spaces where it's safe to question, we become mirrors for each other's awakening. One person's courage to think differently inspires another's. That's why the system pushes division so hard. It knows the power of unity. It knows that ideas spread faster through conversation than algorithms, and that one honest discussion can undo years of indoctrination. So it floods the airwaves with noise, conflict, and distraction, hoping we'll stay too reactive to look deeper. Connection is the counterforce, true connection, the kind that isn't built on appearances or status, but on curiosity and truth. When you find people who are on the path, not perfect, not enlightened, just aware, you start to realize you're not crazy for wanting more. That alone is liberating. And from there, something powerful happens. We begin to share tools, knowledge, practices, resources. And slowly, the system's grip weakens, not because we fight it, but because we stop feeding it. But even connection must be rooted in clarity, because not all information awakens you. Some of it just repackages the same fear in a shinier wrapper. That's why critical thinking is non-negotiable. Learn to ask better questions. Who profits from this message? What's the energy behind it? Liberation or control? Does it align with my inner compass or just play on my insecurities? The more precise your questions, the sharper your awareness. And sharp awareness is spiritual armor. The system doesn't want thinkers. It wants followers. That's why algorithms reward conformity, why education standardizes answers, and why culture reduces success to status symbols. But when you think critically, you begin to see through it all. You realize that much of society is designed to keep you consuming, comparing, and complying. And suddenly, you're not just free, you're dangerous, because you can't be manipulated by the same old tricks. And as you awaken, it becomes your responsibility, not to force others to see what you see, but to hold space for their own awakening. Speak with clarity, not condemnation. Share from experience, not ego. When we meet others where they are, we create bridges, and bridges allow ideas to travel farther than arguments ever will. The future isn't built by louder voices, it's built by deeper truths. And if you've made it this far, that means you're already seeing the cracks. You've begun the work, but don't let it stop with just awareness. Stay curious, stay connected, and most importantly, stay discerning. Because in a world that's designed to keep you asleep, your ability to think for yourself isn't just rare, it's revolutionary. What if everything you've been taught to chase was never really meant to satisfy you? What if the purpose you've been conditioned to believe in, the career, the car, the house, the admiration, wasn't a purpose at all, but a performance? You were handed a script. You memorized the lines. And even when the applause came, something still felt off. Because deep down, you knew, this isn't it. From your earliest years, the system trained you to tie your worth to metrics, grades, salaries, titles, followers. You were rewarded for fitting in, not for breaking through. And every time you chose safety over truth, compliance over curiosity, you drifted further from the version of yourself that was still alive underneath the noise. But that version, it never left. It's just been waiting, patiently, for you to remember what real purpose feels like. Real purpose isn't something you discover out there. It's something you uncover within. It's not a path you find. It's a frequency you embody. And when you strip away the layers of programming, what you were told you should want, should be, should do, you begin to sense it. Not a grand mission carved in stone, but a quiet pull toward authenticity, toward resonance. It's not about becoming something new. It's about becoming fully yourself. Success, then, must be redefined. Not as accumulation, but alignment. Not as applause, but aliveness. Are you living in a way that honors your curiosity, your truth, your joy? Or are you performing a role for an audience that was never paying attention? The new paradigm asks us to shift our measure of success from what we can show the world to how deeply we feel alive in it. And when you do this, when you start living from your own frequency, you'll notice something incredible. Reality begins to respond. Not in some magical airy-fairy way, but in a grounded, observable shift. Opportunities that felt impossible begin to open. Synchronicities multiply. The right people show up. Not because you forced it, but because you finally matched the version of reality you were meant to live in all along. Purpose isn't static. It evolves as you evolve. It's not one big thing. It's many small things done with presence and intention. It's how you speak, how you move, how you show up. It's saying no when your spirit says no. It's creating even when no one's watching. It's choosing alignment over approval. And it's recognizing that every moment offers you a choice. To live from the old story or to write a new one. But don't be surprised when others don't understand. When you step out of the script, it threatens those still living inside it. People may project fear, doubt, or judgment, but that has nothing to do with you. Your role isn't to convince them. It's to embody the shift so clearly, so unapologetically, that they can't help but feel their own stirrings of truth. Your presence becomes a lighthouse, not by force, but by frequency. And that's the quiet revolution. Not a protest, but a permission slip. A reminder that another way is not only possible, it's already happening. Every person who chooses to live on their terms chips away at the illusion, and together these fractures become a fault line. Eventually, the old model will collapse under its own weight, not because we fought it, but because we stopped feeding it. If you felt the pull towards something deeper, truer, more alive, don't ignore it. That's not fantasy. That's your signal. Follow it. Trust it. Let it guide you not just to think differently, but to live differently, because the new reality doesn't arrive with permission. It arrives with a choice. And if you're still unsure where to begin, start here. Strip away every should, every borrowed belief, and every story that doesn't feel like yours. Then ask, what kind of life feels honest to me? What does success look like if no one's watching? What would I create if I wasn't afraid? Your answers won't come all at once, but each time you choose honesty over habit, the signal gets clearer. This is the quantum shift. It's not a fantasy, it's a frequency. And once you tune into it, life stops feeling like a grind and starts feeling like a conversation. Not with fate, but with your own unfolding consciousness. The real you has been here all along, waiting, ready, and now you're finally listening. If you want to continue this journey with us and go deeper than we can on platforms like this, sign up for our free newsletter, Insights Academy. You'll get access to exclusive content. And right now, we're giving away a digital copy of the Kybalion, a rare hermetic classic that connects everything we've just explored. You don't want to miss it. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it."